Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. A former police officer believed to have reported Graham Linehan to police over his social media posts has been accused of using the courts to hound critics. Critics say it shows how the justice system is being weaponised against free speech, and one of those targeted is our next guest. Joining us in the studio to discuss this is journalist Helen Joyce. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
People were shocked seeing Graham, one of our great comedy writers, being arrested at the airport, 5 armed police. But he's not the only person who's been targeted this way, right?
That's right. I've known about this now for on and off the past couple of years, not just me, several other people I know. The way it works is this. Somebody who has what's called a monitored characteristic, so one of the 5 characteristics that count for hate crime, so that's your race, religion, disability, sexual orientation and transgender status, you can make a report of something that you regard as being hateful towards you, and the police will write it down. They're told they just have to write it down. They're not to ask you about it. They're not to be suspicious in any way. And then it can go along this weird parallel route that I did not know existed, which is that they don't actually investigate it and they don't, charge you or try you or any of those old-fashioned things. They just put it on the database and then they may or may not put your name against it. So the person who did, as we think, reported Graham for these tweets, also about a year ago started talking about how he had reported me to the police. So his name's Lindsay Watson. He's a trans woman. That means he's a man who identifies as a woman. And he's a former cop. He was fired in 2023 for an enormous harassment campaign against Harry Miller, another free speech campaigner. He was kicked out of the police for gross misconduct. And since then, he seems to have made a full-time hobby, as far as I can tell, for reporting people who say that men can't be women.
And he knows how the system works.
Exactly, exactly. So he started to say that he had reported me for various sexual harassment, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault and harassment. And seriously, I'm sitting there going, don't remember this.
I just wrote a book.
Yeah, I really didn't do any of this, but against a trans woman. And then nothing happened. Like, he kept saying, the police will be at my door, she's going to get her collar felt, she'll feel the long arm of the law if they don't prosecute her, I'll take a private prosecution, I'll judicially review them if they don't prosecute her. All of this, all the time, on Twitter and on Blue Sky. As it happens, in May this year, I made a crime report about him, because he gave a tweet in which he carefully worded it, but it sounded like saying that people like me, if people like him weren't so peaceable, people like me wouldn't be long for this world. And that was after a lot of other unpleasant tweets and saying things about knowing my home address and, giving my middle name and my birth date and things like that.
That sounds like harassment.
Exactly. So I reported him for harassment. You may or may not be surprised to know this has gone nowhere. Greater Manchester Police and Lincolnshire Police are bouncing it between the two of them, each saying he lives in the other patch. So 5 armed policemen didn't turn up at his door? They haven't even decided 5 months later which of them is going to look at it. However, it turned out he actually did report me for a crime last November. And that crime related to something that had happened a year earlier, which is that I spoke at an event with another trans woman called Frida Wallace, who drank right through it, used a lot of rude words, which I can't say, pre-9 o'clock.
You've seen the footage, it's pretty funny.
You've seen the footage. You can look at it, it's online. It's age restricted, but I think all of you are old enough to look at it. He wore a very short miniskirt and fishnets, and they were ripped, and there was some speculation as to what something at the top of his thigh was, and I was able to say, no, it wasn't a part of the male anatomy, it was just a bulge of thigh fat. Now, this is somebody I've had blocked online, but I tweeted a few times about it, and I said that I called him Fred instead of Frida. I said he was a man. I said he, him. I explained the thing about the thigh fat. That was it. Oh, no, I said he was a fetishist, because he said he was a fetishist in the event. And that's what Lindsay Watson reported. And so you then went to the police and then you found out that your name is actually Well, what happened was they put it along this parallel thing, which I didn't know about. They never even got in contact with me. Oh, they also said that I had got his phone number, Frida Wallace's phone number, and had phoned him and abused him and told other people to do that, and people had done that at his workplace. I didn't do any of that. I don't have his phone number. I never make abusive phone calls. I didn't find out until he decided to take a judicial review of my home police force for not prosecuting me. and I count as an interested party, so they sent me their defence. So for the first time, I see laid out over several dozen pages how this all got recorded, what happened, what these famous tweets of mine were, what was said on the phone call, what Frida Wallace said when they found him, how it got recorded, and it had this mention of a non-crime hate incident. So I thought, oh, have they recorded that? So I put in a subject access request and discovered actually a crime, the crime of harassment, had been recorded with my name against it for all of that.
And that's on the system?
That's on the system. It's on the police national database. It's not my criminal record. I don't have a criminal record. It's recorded, and they left their name with it, which they're not necessarily meant to do, because they think I might do it again. And I've just done it again. So yes, they're right on that.
So, well, I mean, this is... What's scary here is you're getting the police being kind of used in a way by activists.
Totally.
To go after what they see as their opponents. And the police are kind of going along with it.
Well, the thing is, I spent a lot of time this week looking at the Home Office statutory guidance on the recording of hate crime and non-crime hate incidents. And actually, I think the police were basically doing what the guidance says. It says, for example, that when somebody makes one of these reports, you must believe them. Don't question them about it.
So the problem starts at the top then?
The problem is this whole system of parallel recording of hate incidents that are not properly investigated or anything like that. And if you know what you're doing and you say all the right things, you can get somebody's name recorded there. This won't show up on my criminal record, but if I had to do an enhanced DBS check for a sensitive job, it would show up then, and the person doing the check would have to decide whether they include it in that enhanced DBS check. And I think they would, wouldn't you, for criminal harassment?
And it should be pointed out, it's not just Graham, it's not just you.
No.
This has affected many, many people who have been targeted.
Well, I'm literally in a Lindsay Watson support group on WhatsApp where we share, you know, keep each other's spirits up and say, you know, they say he's back in Manchester again. No, Manchester say he's in Lincolnshire, you know, this sort of thing. Because it's, you know, honestly, it's Kafkaesque. We're simultaneously trying to get them to take crimes this man is committing against us seriously and trying to work out what to do with this weaponisation of the crime recording system.
Yeah, and this is the very final point is that I just going to say is that if the police don't progress with the complaint, then he then complains about the police and he keeps on escalating it until I guess he gets what he wants. Look, I don't want to be part of this WhatsApp group, so we reached out to Lindsay Watson for comment, but have not yet received a response. Thank you very much for joining us, Helen.
You're very welcome.